What is up, YouTubers and Yu-Gi-Oh fans? This is Grandpa's Game Shop, and I am here with you on my first video ever to show you my Atem structure deck. My character deck design. I always go with 60 cards, just to use as many of their cards throughout the series as I possibly can, just to see what all their combos are capable of for the most part, and just to make for an epic duel, with either close friends or even just random rivals. I always go with 60 cards when it comes to the character designs, and I always do what the cards say. I never go with the show's rules, or anything like that. I always keep it real. So without further ado, I'm gonna go ahead and show you my deck design. Because it's 60 cards, I'm gonna just kind of like zoom through it real quick. But for all you real fans out there, and anybody who just wants to see the format, I guess you'll know what the cards are and what they do and why they're there for the most part. So let's go ahead and start off with the normal monsters. Okay, I have there's 26 monsters in the deck altogether. There's 21 spells, and there are 13 trap cards. All right, so let's go. We have the Dark Magician, and that is the theme of this deck. Yeah, self-explanatory. Next we have Jack's Knight. Then next we have Queen's Knight. After that, we are going to go with Gazelle, the King of Mythical Beasts. And those are all the normal cards in this deck. There are only 4. Yeah, that was all that was really necessary for the strategies that I wanted to complete. So I'm going to start off the effect monsters with the 3 Egyptian god cards. Yes, they are in this deck. They are present, and as far as I know, I designed this deck to work as well around them as possible, with Yugi's strategies in regard. And based on my experience, they're not that bad. They don't slow things down too much. The hand doesn't get too heavy, and they're great for ritual summons and the like. So 3 Egyptian god cards. They're not that bad. Okay, so next we are going to go with our ritual monsters, and that is Black Luster Soldier and the Magician of Black Chaos. Yeah, a lot of blackness going on here. But yeah, the ritual combos are there for a reason. They're good for getting god cards out of your hand, so you don't stagnate waiting for certain key cards and things like that. Also, they're very powerful in their own right. So next we have the Big Shield Gardener. Okay, and then next we have Curry Bandit. Curry Bandit's a good deck mover for this type of deck. Okay, next we have Kuribo, classic, and then we have our Buster Blader. Yeah, don't gotta explain that one. All right, we have our King's Knight. Bit of a late introduction, but still, that goes with your Jack's Knight and your Queen's Knight combo, obviously. And since we're running god cards, that's also a good way to get those out. Next we have Sangan, and this is also a good deck mover. Also a Yugi card too, for those of you who didn't know. Okay, next we have our Watapan. Okay, Yugi's got a lot of big cards. Cards like Watapan help you get them out. Next we have the Archfiend of Gilfer. Next up we have Berthelmet. Go ahead and helps you get your Gazelle. Okay, and then we have our Dark Magician Girl. Yeah, the pseudo theme monster for this deck, if you will. Yeah, super awesome, super sexy. Okay, and next we have the Summoner Monk. Okay, now I'm not entirely sure if Yugi did use this card throughout the series, but he should have at some point if he didn't, for obvious reasons. Okay, and that's a good deck mover too, by the way. Next we have our Obnoxious Celtic Guardian. Okay, next we have the Electromagnetic Turtle. Yeah, I crapped my pants waiting for this one. I was waiting a really long time for this card. I don't know what it is with Yugi and having epic turtle cards, but you know, like Catapult Turtle and the like. But you know, I've loved every turtle that Yugi's played. So yeah, keep on playing them turtles. Next we have Breaker the Magical Warrior. Okay. All right, and next we have Swift Gaia the Fierce Knight. Yeah. And then we have our Magician of Faith, of course. Taya inspired card. Yeah, we all love Taya, don't we? And then, of course, last but not least, for our effect monsters, we have the Tricky. And I don't really have to explain this card either. It's really good for your god cards. You know, there's combos. You know, obviously there's combo with the Tricky that allows you to get your god cards out. And it's good to have as many of those monster summoning cards as you can when it comes to this kind of deck. And because it's 60 cards, you know, it's not so bad having them present. So next up, we're going to go with our spell cards, okay? And we have Pot of Greed. In my opinion, every character deck should have a Pot of Greed. There's no reason not to. Okay. Then we have our Brain Control. Yeah. That was always a really awesome card. Not sure if you got to see that one, but yeah, just take a look at that. Yeah, just absolutely love this card. Okay, next we have our Swords of Revealing Light. Okay. Then next we have our Graceful Charity. Good deck mover. Alright, next is the Mystical Space Typhoon. Self-explanatory. And then next we have Rebellion. Yeah. Alright. Now, I threw Thousand Knives in there as well. There are some Dark Magician theme spells in this deck because, if I'm not mistaken, the final season Atem deck did use the God cards mostly, but it also utilized the Dark Magician as sort of a backup stratagem. So, you know, I had to go with the Dark Magician theme as well. I couldn't just like sit him out. So next we have the Dark Magic Attack, of course. And that also goes, you know, that's also in there for the same reason, as well as the Dark Magic Curtain. Okay. All right. Next we have our Black Magic Ritual and our Black Luster Ritual for our ritual monsters, obviously. Okay. And then next we have the Tricky Spell 4, and that goes with your God cards as well. If your opponent's overwhelming your monsters, you get that Tricky out. Just, you know, take like three tokens. You got it. Next we have our Spell Shattering Arrow. Arrow, excuse me if I didn't pronounce that correctly. Another classic from the original series, as well as Monster Recovery. That's also another classic. And this is another deck mover. Okay, a lot of deck movers. It's gotta have a lot of deck movers. You think a big deck like this wouldn't be able to function, but no. You throw cards like Gold Sarcophagus in there, and then you got like no problems whatsoever. Okay. All right, then we have our Polymerization, the classic design, like that one. Okay. Then next we have our Fiend Sanctuary. Okay, self-explanatory. As well as the Monster Reborn. Okay. Then we have Card of Sanctity. Now this card sucks. This card did not come out the way we all hoped it would, but it does have a use in this deck. And like I said, I always go with the original card text. I don't ever use the anime themed rules or nothing like that. So okay, so it might suck, but it has its ways. Next we have our Dark Hole. And then we have Card Destruction. Alright, and that's another good deck mover right there. Also a good way to get rid of those useless cards in your hands. Well, all Yu-Gi-Oh fans know that there are no useless cards, but still, it helps move the deck. Alright, now we're going to go with our traps, okay? The final type of cards that are in this deck. And I used 13 of them. I feel like Yugi uses traps a little more often than that, but I think I got most of the key ones for this deck, and as far as I know, it does help them, the overall design, and yeah, I have great duels with this deck. But so let's go ahead. We're gonna go with 7 Tools of the Bandit. Okay. And next we have our Light Force Sword. Alright. Mirror Force. And next we have our Eternal Soul. Okay, and this goes in with those Dark Magician combos, that Dark Magician theme that I was telling you about. You gotta have your Dark Magician whistle, and Dark Magic Curtain isn't that alone isn't gonna cut it for this type of deck. So you're gonna need something like that. All right, next we have our Spellbinding Circle. Okay, and then of course we have the Magical Hats. Gotta have the Magical Hats, absolutely necessary. Okay, next we have our Dust Tornado. Okay. We're gonna go with our Dark Renewal next. Okay, and then we have our Magic Cylinder, another classic. All right, go with our Soul Rope, which I believe the first time we saw Yugi use that was versus Kaiba in the Coliseum, I think. Epic duel, one of my favorites. All right, then we have our Dark Illusion. Okay, after that we're going to go with the Nutrient Z. And there are a lot of cost cards in this deck where you're spending life points to do specific things, but Nutrient Z really helps you keep you in the game, and that's why I like this card. Okay, and then last but not least for our traps, we have the Mystical Ref panel. And this is a confusing card for a lot of players, but I did find a way to utilize it in this deck, and it's very useful. It catches your opponent off guard almost all the time. So yeah, it's an awesome card. Okay, for our fusions, we're gonna go with the Dragon Master Knight. Okay. Next we have Chimera, the Flying Mythical Beast. And this card is a beast. Okay. Next we have our Arcana Knight Joker. Okay. For your triple knight combo, you know, if they're not cutting it. No pun intended. And then next we have our Dark Paladin. Yeah, gotta have the Dark Paladin in this deck. Absolutely crucial. Another Dark Magician combo as well. Alright, and then with the tokens for this deck, I went ahead and used the Fiend Sanctuary token. Okay, gotta represent where representation is due. Okay, and then I have the Pharaoh himself. Yeah, Atem, Yugioh, the king of games. Yeah, he's that dude. Okay, this deck took me a while to build. I've been building Yu-Gi-Oh decks since the show came out and the cards were available. The Yugi deck itself was something I always wanted. I've been working really hard towards it. I put my absolute heart into this deck, and I love it. Hopefully it made a good impact on you guys. I'm very curious to see what you guys think about it. I will end the video by explaining my favorite combo in the deck, and that would of course be the combo involving the Mystical Ref panel. Okay, we got our Mystical Ref panel, and then of course it works very well with the Card of Sanctity. Okay, now we all know Card of Sanctity never worked the way that we wanted, but in this case it's not that bad. Mystical Ref panel basically applies any drawing effects or life point effects that affect an player, a specific player, and reverses it to the other player. So you can imagine that if you activated a Card of Sanctity and then use the Mystical Ref panel, your opponent's going to be the one banishing all his cards and drawing only 2 cards. So that usually sets you up for almost any good situation. That's like building this deck and playing with these cards and finding this strategy was like totally worth it in my opinion. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments. Like and subscribe, okay? And if it turns out really well, I'll go ahead and show you guys my other character deck designs, and yes, they are just as epic in my opinion. I worked on those ones just as long, and yeah, let me know what you guys think. Have an awesome day, and remember to rule the duel.